Start Your Dungeons is now sponsored by Level Up Games, the largest and best board game, role playing, miniature games, collectible card game, hobby, and nerd store in Georgia. With a wide variety of events and product lines, Level Up Games is sure to have the product for every gamer you know. With three convenient locations in Duluth, Johns Creek, and Athens, there's bound to be a store near you. Plus, they ship anywhere in the U.S. from their online shop at levelupgamesatl.com. Thanks for sponsoring the channel, Level Up Games, and check out their event calendar and online store at the link in the description.
Hello everyone, welcome to Start Your Dungeons. I'm Adam.
I'm Bryce.
And today we're talking about Broken Tales by the World Anvil Publishing. And I gotta say, I don't know anything about this game other than that it got some... Did it win the Ennies for some...
I don't know if it won
stuff?
an Ennie in 2023 or it was just... I remember us seeing it on there for artwork and stuff.
Because like the artwork, like the white, black, red art scheme...
Yes.
So it's so catching to the eye, and I just immediately love the art style, but I haven't gotten to play it. This is the first time I've ever looked at the book.
Yeah.
You got to run it.
Yeah. I actually, weirdly enough, I picked this book up because I remember the art, and I was like, well, like I had some store credit. Let's see. And I was actually going to run something else. We ran the Friday Night Frights at the store, and we were doing horror games, and I wanted to run something else and got told no because that game wasn't available to like get extra copies of. And I said, well, if you have copies of Broken Tales, I'll just pick this up. Like, I'm not dying to pick this up and read it yet, but let's see. And then I played it, and it changed my entire view of this system. Like, it is interesting.
So we'll get to the system in a second, which I've never heard of this system that it uses. So, like we said, it's been nominated at least for an Ennie. So what do you think about the quality, the artwork, the layout, the materials, everything?
It's really nice quality, but it's funky to look through. I will say, I like the design, and this is gonna sound really bad, and I don't mean it to, but I feel like when I opened it, I was like, this is the best My Chemical Romance cover I've ever flipped through. Like, nothing wrong with that. I like My Chemical Romance, but like, it has that sort of like My Bloody Valentine kind of artwork style. It's a lot of reds and blacks and all this.
A lot of it looks like someone's taken like oil paint and scraped it with a palette knife.
Right.
So there's
very sketchy.
Yeah, it's more like sketch style with, you know, oil paintings or like acrylics or something like that. But it retains, I mean, of course, and it's not actually with that, it's digital painting, but, you know, it retains this, it's kind of messy, but at the same time, like stylized black, white, red appearance throughout the book.
Nice quality. I like the size of this book, which is weird.
It's an odd size.
You know what it is, actually? I'm realizing now. It looks like a fairy tale book.
It does.
And it's a fairy tale book. So, you know, it's based on that. And that's kind of the thing. We didn't really talk about it. Broken Tales is a weird book. It's basically the king of fairy tales granted a wish to a child. And then the plots in the shadows appeared and tricked the child to say, hey, make all the villains into good. But every fairy tale has to have good and bad. So all the bad people became good. So like the big bad wolf became a good guy. But now Little Red Riding Hood is a bad person.
The world got flipped upside down.
So everything's kind of flipped upside down, and you're in this weird like 1800s Europe kind of style to it. It's really interesting. I think if you love grim fairy tales and that sort of style, this will really, really click with you. And the way it does character builds and things, like, oh man, it's just... We won't get into it, but like, it genuinely shocked me how much fun I had running it, and also how much fun I had, like, digging into it. Yeah, just overall.
Well, let's talk about, like, how easy is it to get into this game? We'll kind of combine this and the rule set question. This name of the system is called Monad Echo.
Right.
How easy is it to get into this game and teach your players how to run? I guess you would have to start by saying what this system is.
So this is weird. I wish I had a character sheet, actually, so I could show it. But, like, the character sheet is like, hey, you have Soma points that you can spend to do abilities and stuff. You have character descriptions of yourself. And also, usually those character descriptions have, like, not a negative, but, like, a thing that's like, I will always do this thing in this case. And the way this game works is a D6 pool system.
Dice pool.
So,
speaking my language.
You have success rates of 3, 5, and 7. Okay? 7 being the hardest difficulty to do. If you are checking anything and doing it, and you have a thing that applies to this, whatever you're trying to do, a modifier that applies. I don't like saying modifier, though. I would say trait. Because it's something like, I am a skilled swordsman. So if you're trying to fight in combat, that gives you 3 immediate successes.
Okay.
Now, there's also items and other things that give you successes. But kind of like Powered by the Apocalypse, if you are equal in successes, you win, but you have a fallback.
Right.
If you have one more success than what you need, you succeed.
Okay.
If you have 2 more, you have a major success against it and gain a bonus. Okay? Now here's where it gets fun. You can then gamble how many D6s you want to spend.
It's got a pressure luck mechanic in there.
And 2s through 6 are successes. If you roll a single one, you fail the entire check. So it's very much a balance game of going, I'm gonna win. Do I just take the auto win?
Yeah.
Or do I press my luck?
Yeah, and try
and hit it.
I can see how that can get.
It is really, really cool, actually.
Huh.
I thought at first it was weird because I was like, there's nothing on these sheets, like, other than character traits. Like, how do I... And it was like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And you have abilities like that you can spend Soma on, and they're all based on fairy tales. So, the characters that I played, I printed out some pre-made gens for them, and it was James the Swordsman. And the entire time we were like, what is this character? He can summon this beast to attack him and, wants to chase him. He's a master swordsman. He's missing a hand. He's Captain Hook. Then there's the Garou, the wolf.
Yeah.
Big bad wolf. Baba Yaga is a child. So, all these really cool characters that are and it's like Baba Yaga has magic.
Yeah.
So Baba Yaga can make things happen in game and stuff and twist reality. The wolf can huff and puff and blow things down. Or it can disguise itself like the old grandma. There's just really cool things in here.
It's very creative.
But on the other side of that, Little Red Riding Hood's a blood-soaked demon creature. So,
wasn't she always?
Yeah, wasn't she always? Let's be honest. But that is kind of what you're looking at when you get into the game. So, again, getting into the game and explaining it, as a GM, it is always, you need 3 successes, you need 5 you need 7 successes, whatever. But as a player, it's just going, what on my sheet makes this easier? Oh, this? Okay, I have 3 successes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all there is to it. So it's
super
quite
simple.
It doesn't look it, but it is quite simple.
Yeah. So is this a complete game?
Yes, there's a lot in this game. I'm going to say this now. Be cautious with this game if you are triggered by certain things. So there are tons of adventures in this book. There's tons. There's tons of pre-gens. There's ways to build characters in here. I will say I don't love the character generator thing. I would say use one of their pre-gens, or just they have some pre-mades like I want to play Sinbad. Just play that. It is kind of the easier way to do it, I think.
And that gives you a little bit more to go on than just some archetype.
Right. And I think it is very fair to list. Scheherazade is a villain in this, and I think that's really cool.
That's an interesting.
So like she's like the right hand man of the plots and shadows kind of character, and she tells. But I want to get back to my warning thing. Every one of these is based on true stories, right? And I'll just be flat out honest. There are some cases of child abuse in this. There are some areas where rape is a theme. Be cautious. I chose an adventure for my group, and I talked with them beforehand and said, is any of these triggering for you? If it is, I will not run this adventure. Be upfront about it, though, because this is based on true fairy tales, guys. This isn't your Disney fairy tales.
Right. I mean, if you've ever read Grimm's fairy tales, that stuff is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I have, like, the complete works, and, you're not going to read those to children, like modern children, not if you don't want them to be completely scarred.
Yeah. That explains your kids so much. No, I'm just kidding. But
fair.
It is an easy book to pick up and run, but I just want to say it is a complete book. You can run. There are expansions for it, I know, that add new adventures, some new character types, ideas, and stuff like that. But it is pretty much a complete book you could buy and run. I will say I do like the adventure I ran had multiple pathways. So, and it's weird how it does adventures in scenes. So you jump between scenes, and when you go between scenes, you like heal up and you have opportunities. What I really liked is the adventure I ran, which was based on a Princess Volska, I think is what it's called. She jumped between Scheherazade telling the story to you in the palace, and then after she started talking for a while, you went into the world. It was like pulling you in and out of the story kind of thing.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool.
That.
But again, be forewarned, and they do a very good job. If you look at the front of every adventure, it says on it, warning, this adventure contains these dark themes.
That's very much appreciated.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And, they'll even say, like, hey, this involves child abuse. Here's what that involves in this storyline. Again, guys, these are dark fairy tales. Like, that. Some of that stuff, unfortunately, is in those things. They try not to push it, but it is something that happens in these stories. So I think they're trying to stay faithful while not overindulging in that as a theme.
I also think that the artwork gives you a pretty good clue as to how dark this game is. So, I think they've done it seems like a good job of conveying that this is a horror-themed fairy tale role-playing game. So be advised.
Yeah.
So who is this for? Is this for new players? Is this for seasoned players?
Actually, I think this game is really good for new players. If you've never played a role-playing game before, how easy is it to just say, read your character sheet? Like, you have paragraphs that explain your character. Are any of those relative to what you're trying to do? Okay, cool. You have 3 successes. How many dice you want to roll?
Yeah. So it might... I think for this game, this might be one of those that gets people out of the constant dice rolling mechanic as their only way into
I will say, though, my favorite thing was one of the guys who played in this, Joe, was he would always roll one more dice than he thought he should roll, and then always rolled a 1. So it was, like, really funny in some ways, but, like, it just... I do think if you're a new player... There's not a lot going on. So you're not trying to remember, I use my strength stat for this, and my dex stat for this, and I have 18 different skills, and maybe that skill is useful.
Yeah.
Do you have something that applies to you?
Playing your character.
Yeah.
So the bookkeeping is to a minimum, which is nice.
And as a GM, it's not hard. It is very limited in what they tell you, but I think they do that on purpose to allow you to kind of breathe life into the fairy tale itself. But I don't think if you're a new GM, you would struggle, because if you know a fairy tale and you're okay with the themes, find your favorite one in here. So like Little Red Riding Hood's in here, Pinocchio's in here. If that's one of your favorites, like, maybe look at that. And then you kind of know kind of a little bit of a background and story, so you're not jumping in head first without knowing anything into a world.
So So, as far as, what do you want to do next? Do you want to keep running this or do you want to be a player?
As we're talking about this now, I'm actually thinking that I might have found my February game to run at the store because I'm like, man, this is really good.
Yeah.
I do want to run it. I don't actually think I need to be a player in this. I think I would have fun with it, but I actually think this game is more interesting for me to GM because I think the GM side of it is way more interesting in the we also talk about DMing being like a storyteller. This really is storytelling, and I kind of think that grabs me. What about you? Like knowing nothing about it, what do you think grabs you?
Just from flipping through the book, I want to play it because I want to have an experience that is truly like the being in the fairy tale.
Right.
Even if it's a horror fairy tale, I want that. And while I would eventually like to run it, I think I want to be a player.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy it. I think genuinely, and this book is $50 retail. I think it's a good quality book for the price. There's a ton, like I said, I think there's over like 12 adventures in here.
Wow.
And like, they're very, what's cool is I think a lot of this game is built on being very one shot or like running a campaign, but like it's okay to jump in and out of it because the way you advance is not very big or in terms of ways that you do things. Nice. So it's like, it fits a really good way of like, if you're interested in doing one shots, it's a great game. If you want to get people to play it, if you're also interested in doing a campaign where you run through and kill a bunch of fairy tale creatures, go for it. You know.
So are you happy you bought it?
Flip my view. So like genuinely, I bought it because I had free credit. I wasn't like dying to play it or whatever, but played it and legit. I remember I played this opposite the table. Wayne was running Monster of the Week Stone Age version of it, and he walked over and I told him, I said, holy cow, this was so much fun. And literally the three players, because it was three of my locals, Alex, Megan, I think both Megans and Joe, so maybe 4 players playing. And it was only 3. It was Joe, Alex, and Megan. And they all looked at me and went, we kind of want to play this again. Like, it was really like,
sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's grabbed me. So,
Well, if you have any questions or if you've played it and want to tell us your experience, just leave those comments down below. And until next time, bye.
Y'all take care.